Okay, so major problem was coming from the sticky keys, and sometimes that just gets corrupted, but I'm back to where I wanted to be at the last video. So what I'm going to do is continue working. I want to extend the actual guard out a little bit to match what's happening here. So what I'm going to do is if I select this dude here, I'm going to hold shift and then select the actual ring selection, the edge loops, and what that I can from there, what allow me to do is to scale this out a little bit and add some more size here. Now I probably want to go ahead and go back into this one and scale that down a little bit. Let's go ahead and put that on the, there we go. Hold on a second, let's pause this. My cat needs some attention. Right, hello cat. Yes. Okay, kitten. Okay, so let's go ahead and shape this up a little bit more. I'm going to go into my front view and go to vertex mode and just start moving some vertices to kind of look at the match the shape that I have got going in the reference. And oops, there we go. All right, and I know that the blade's going to be thin, so I'm going to go to element or 5 on my keyboard and just scale that into Y. Now, with the when I built the Gladius, I just rotated at 45 degrees, like I said a couple of videos ago. And this time, what I'm going to do is actually build it off of this because the structure of the claymore really does allow for it. So I'm going to grab this one edge here, and I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to select the adjacent and see if I can get the edge loops. And if it doesn't give me that, sometimes Max just is finicky and acts weird, especially on my laptop. I'll go ahead and hit loop selection, ring selection. And now that has all those edges just on the blade. And what I want to do here is this connect tool. I'm going to use the actual options. And what that does is basically intersect the selection with a set of edges, which will also include vertices. Select, hit checkbox, and now what I'm going to do is deselect this top one right here, and I'm going to use the move tool and slide this out. And so now we're getting the shape of our blade here. And if I wanted it to actually match the reference, I need to actually make it a little bit slimmer. This blade is sleek, so we'll just go ahead and give it some proper size. Deselect, holding Alt, and then select here. All right, it's a little wider than the handle right now, but that's okay. We can always scale it down later. Now I've got this edge right here. If I go ahead and move this up, I think I'm going to get kind of an imperfect blade edge. Maybe not the desired effect. Let's go ahead and see what happens if I move this vertex down. I'm still not happy with that. We'll work on that later. So I'm going to undo all that functions, all those things that I did. And one thing I can show you now, if we use the connect tool to connect edges, we can use it to connect verge, but the problem is this edge right here is bisecting it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into that edge and I'm going to remove it. And that's not using the delete key, that's actually using the remove, and it just actually takes that edge off. The face is still there. And so what I want to do now is wait for my food to cook. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select these two vertices, and I'm going to use the connect tool again to show you a different use of it. Hit connect. And now what I can do, see this vertex here? Let's go ahead and hit the remove to get rid of that. We can delete that one, and it'll delete all the edges, so we don't want to do that. We'll hit remove to get rid of it. And now that'll allow us a little bit of a different, we'll go a different solution when we actually make the actual tip of the blade. But now we're looking at the actual sword. We're starting to see some definition, and we're starting to see some love happening here. It's starting to actually look pretty legit. It's a seriously thick blade compared to mine. This one is not as elegant as the one in the reference. So what we'll do next is actually work on, let's see where we're at. 5 minutes. What I want to do next is I gotta get my food. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is kind of start thinking about how everything looks with the Symmetry tool on here. And this is an actual method of mine that I like to do often. I'm at this stage. I'm going to turn off this weld seam. And what that's going to do is actually split up my symmetrical object into different elements. And I'm going to right click and collapse. Oh, goodness gracious. Right click and collapse 2, and that'll make it all one editable poly. But because I turned the weld seam off, it's going to make things different elements. And the only reason why I did that is just in case I want to break things off and continue. I am going to actually go back and put the symmetry back on this object, but at this stage, what I'm going to do is kind of get things in proportions with the entire symmetrical object on there so that I can see it a little bit more effectively, kind of eyeballing it as a whole, so I can go back into the actual parts and continue working. This is just like any other art form, just a little bit more on the technical side, but you will go back and forth and kind of massage things and kind of tweak ideas. Look at it from a distance, make sure you're kind of getting the actual the proportions that your reference is showing. Can't stress that enough. Alright, so now I'll go back into here. I can throw the edit poly on here and it'll override everything, because it's just basically all it's doing is going to override the geometry that I have selected here. I know it seems kind of funky for me, but it also just allows me to kind of see where things are at. Alright, so let's go up here to this edit poly. Let's go up here to this tip and build that up. I'm going to delete those again because I don't want to worry about them. I just want them out of my mind. So let's go ahead and select those polygons here. And I'm going to do just a simple extrude. And just hit OK. I'm not too worried about it because I'm just going to make it work. Eyeball. Actually, you know what? Let's undo that and just get the extrude back on there, and let's do a bevel instead. Now let's play with that. So the bevel is going to create the geometry all the way around, and the symmetry will actually eat that up, so that's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and hit plus, and we're trying to get that nice little round aspect to it. And so we'll go ahead and just hit plus one more time. I'm going to hit OK. And now you'll see that it also tapers from the middle to the center of the actual full selection. So what we want to do is fix that. So what I'm going to do with these vertices right here, these are the vertices, these are the problem children, and we're going to actually just kind of help them along and show them which way we need to get them to go so that we can all work as a team. We're going to massage this one as well. Just using the scale tool, kind of getting things flat. We'll get it all cleaned up. You'll see that the Symmetry tool can take care of a lot of little discrepancies pretty quickly. I'm going to slide, actually I'm going to deselect this one. I'm going to slide this into the middle a little bit. Deselect this one and just kind of work that in there. And then this one's going to get down in there. Alright, so go in there, hit symmetry so you can see it. I'm going to hit flip. Alright, so actually that was a great thing to show real quick. So if I turn off flip, and we're seeing actually what's happening in the with the symmetry tool when it's facing basically the opposite direction we need it to face. But this is the actual overlap of the geometry that is actually going to get cut off by the symmetry tool. So when I collapse this down, a lot of the interior geometry that would be inside of here is just going to disappear. Let me give you an example. Let's go ahead and grab that polygon right there. I'm going to turn on test tube. Now the orange cage is the side that we're working on, and the white side is the side that's actually being projected from the symmetry, which will be converted to real geometry. The white is inside and past the orange, so if I go here you'll see that there's no overlap, but if I go past to where the white is, that's where the actual gizmo or the mirror tool of the symmetry, this guy, is located. So this is right there. Anything inside of this spot is going to get cut out. So if I extend this all the way out of here, the shape of the sword is going to keep no matter what. So even if my cage goes this far out, let's go ahead and turn that off. And that's what's happening with the blade. With the symmetry, it's just going to eat it up. It's just going to disappear. So it does allow you to be a little bit loosey-goosey with some things, and it helps clean up things down the line in the long run. So be aware of that, and it does help a lot. So let's close that up. So we're looking at our sword, and we're getting pretty close to what we want. Now we're going to go backwards towards what we did with the gladius. This is an easy connection, but now we've got a much more complex connection, and we can actually handle this. Since we have a center line, we can create one on our, we're going to need it on our handle, and so let's go ahead and create it on our guard. Excuse me, my allergies are kicking in. And then we'll start preparing for our cylinder as well. So that will be in the next video, and we'll be right back.